everyone. Welcome back to the Healthy Eating Everyday program. Hopefully you got through sessions 1, 2, and 3 and were able to get all of the worksheets downloaded and start kind of building your vision, looking at your goals, setting your tactics, and kind of doing that self-exploration before jumping into the actual program and all of the other information that we're going to talk about. So if you weren't able to do those things, go ahead and take a minute to do those and really work through that, because I think that really is a big key to this journey, is really figuring out why you're here and what you want to accomplish while you are learning about healthy eating every day. So moving right into session 4, which is the basics. And when I say basics, I mean going way back to basics, like health class in high school basics. And that is because knowledge is key, right? The more we know about the foods that we are eating, the more we know about how to fuel our body and choose the right foods, and then why we're choosing those foods, the benefits of those foods, and how it helps us to live a healthy lifestyle. And so jumping right into the basics, carbohydrates, number 1. Yeah, so what do you know about carbohydrates? I'm sure you hear everybody say that you need to avoid them, right? So avoiding carbohydrates is not necessarily a good thing, and for many reasons, because carbohydrates give us energy and they help our bodies to be able to function throughout the day, and enough energy to last throughout the day, and it kind of gives our brain that energy to continue to function. And so carbs are not a bad thing, and you do not have to avoid carbs. Now, you do have to cut out some of the carbohydrates, and let's talk about that. There are 2 different carbohydrates, or kinds of carbohydrates. One of them being complex carbohydrates, the other one being simple carbohydrates. And so let's talk first about simple carbohydrates. So simple meaning they really only have like one molecule that binds them together. So one being simple, and only the body can break it down super fast. So simple carbohydrates are things like sugar, like white sugar, white flour foods, donuts, cookies, chips, bread, muffins, bagels, pop, all of those things are going to be simple carbohydrates, right? And so what happens when we eat the simple carbohydrates is that we feel really good because we got food in our body and it's energy, right? So our blood sugar goes way up, we feel amazing, we have energy, we feel better because we ate. But then what happens in an hour, because your body's going to break it down super fast, your blood sugar is going to plummet. Then you're going to be tired and you're going to be hungry again, and those cravings are going to kick back in. And so the other piece of the simple carbohydrates is that it's sugar, right? And sugar is the culprit, guys. It really is. And sugar is so many things and so many reasons not to eat sugar. So what happens is the sugar cane that sugar comes from is actually super healthy for you and has a lot of benefits. But in America, we process the sugar, we ground it down, and it goes through this whole chemical process to become this white substance, right? And this white grainy substance. And then it actually takes any kind of benefits out of sugar that it would even have to begin with. And it just basically ends up being a chemical that your body doesn't recognize, and your body has a super hard time to break down that sugar. And so then the sugar just is not recognized as the food, and it really is giving you no benefits, no nutritional benefits at all. Your body does not need sugar to function at all. In fact, it actually functions better without sugar in it. And so when I say cutting out sugar, I mean really, really cutting it out of your diet as much as you possibly can too. And I know we talked a lot about it's not giving up things, and so 80-20 rule is really important on this journey, because 80% of the time it's eating healthy foods and 20% of the time it's treating yourself to those things that you still enjoy. And I think that's a super great way of thinking. However, sugar contributes to cravings, and the more that your body craves that sugar, the more that you're going to eat that sugar. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to kind of help with those cravings, but it really is the key to healthy eating every day, is to kind of just get that sugar out of your diet. And so there are definitely other ways that you can get things in that are more of the sweet tooth type things if you're a sweet tooth person. which I wholeheartedly am a sweet tooth person. I love chocolate. I know. I have to admit it. I'm a chocoholic. Hi, my name is Jessica. I'm a chocoholic. I have a problem. Sorry. Anyways, back on track. Sugar. It's addictive, and it is the number one reason for your cravings, okay? So those are simple carbohydrates. Those are the things that you're gonna wanna limit in your diet or cut out of your diet as much as you possibly can if you really wanna do healthy eating every day. The other part of it is the complex carbohydrates. And so complex meaning more molecules, lots of molecules. So it's harder for your body to break those things down. So when you eat complex carbohydrates, and those are going to be things like fruits, vegetables, whole grains, your body is going to love you for putting food in it, and it's going to raise your blood sugar up. And that's a good thing because now you feel good and you have a lot of energy, right? And so then it's going to help sustain it because it's going to take longer for that food to break down in your body. So you're going to feel full for a longer period of time. Plus, you're cutting out that sugar that's going to cause those cravings. So when in doubt, you're going to want to choose complex carbohydrates versus simple carbohydrates. So again, complex carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins. Again, carbs aren't bad. You just got to choose the right kind of carbohydrates. So the first thing to think about too when kind of cutting out those simple carbohydrates, and a lot of times those are all things that are processed, things that you bake, things that have sugar in them, but stay strong. Because you are going to have withdrawal symptoms. So I'm telling you, sugar is like a drug. It is an addictive drug in your body. And your body is going to go through withdrawals when you start to get rid of sugar. So you're going to end up having some body aches, some headaches, just overall fatigue, not feeling good. It's going to take at least a week or two for you to feel better. So key to that, stick with it. You can do it. I know you can. I know you can get through this. It's not that long of a time, and there are ways to kind of help you through and to get over that hump. And one of those is going to be hydration, drinking lots of water, making sure you're getting rest, trying some yoga, trying some meditation, going for walks, hot baths, lavender massages. All of those things are going to help with kind of those symptoms of that withdrawal from that sugar. So yeah, it really is kind of like withdrawing from a drug. And for good reasons, because then when you have those feelings, that means the toxins are leaving your body, and your body is going to thank you for it in the long run. So stick with it. Next thing I want to talk about is refined grains. And so again, like sugar, your body has a hard time processing these and digesting them. And so you really want to look for grains that are whole wheat grains. When you're looking at breads or anything like that, if you really have to have that bread, I would recommend that you look for bread that has the first word is whole wheat, right? Not bleached or unbleached or refined or whatever it is, but whole wheat flour in that bread. There are some clean breads that you can get. I know you can get some in the freezer section at the local grocery stores, or if you have like a food co-op, you can also look around and see if you really have to have some sort of bread. So when we talk about whole grains, we talk about foods like barley and brown rice, oats, quinoa, rye, and wild rice. So these are your good for you whole grains. These are foods that you definitely can have in your diet and that are going to fuel your body the right way, and they're going to give your body lots of energy. So look for more of the whole grains versus the refined grains. Third thing, fats. Fat does not make you fat. It doesn't. Actually, fat helps you to lose fat. So you need fat in your body for lots of reasons. We need fat in our body to help our brain to function. We need fat in our body to help regulate our fat and to help regulate our energy. And to some fats can actually even help reverse the effects of high cholesterol and high blood pressure and heart disease. And one of my favorite fats, omega-3, is amazing and has a ton of health benefits, lots of them which you can actually find on the internet if you do a search for it. But it helps with reversing high cholesterol, high triglycerides. It can help with mild depression and anxiety. It can help with ADHD and Alzheimer's. I mean, there's so many benefits to healthy fats, and those are the omega-3 fats, right? So lots of different kind of fats out there, one of them being saturated fat, and that's going to be the fat that you find in things like French fries and red meats and stuff like that. So don't have to 100% cut those out of your diet, but you definitely are going to want to limit them and pack in more of those healthy fats. So lots of omega-3 based foods, and those are going to be things like avocados and olives and fish, especially like the saltwater fish, like tuna and salmon and all of those fish. So you're going to want to eat a lot of those fish. You're going to want to eat a lot of nuts and seeds and a lot of green vegetables. And those are really going to pack in that omega-3, that healthy fat that is actually going to help with weight loss. It's going to help with your energy throughout the day, and it's going to help to reverse the effects or prevent heart disease. So lots of omega-3s in your diet. So that's pretty much the skinny and fat. And so let's talk a little bit about protein. And I get it. I get asked a lot, like, what's your favorite protein drink? What protein bars do you buy? And the truth is none. And so when people ask me, like, what's your favorite protein to use in a shake or something like that, a lot of times I will ask them, like, well, why do you want it? Why do you want the protein drink? Were you told that you need more protein in your diet? Because the average individual, the average American, already gets enough protein in their diet just by foods. So we don't really need any extra protein. Protein does not build muscle. The only thing that builds muscle is weight training. And so protein will help to recover muscles after a hard workout, but you definitely can get that through many different types of foods and don't necessarily need a protein shake or drink or protein bar. And actually, too much protein can be harmful on your body. It can actually cause weight gain and put a lot of stress on your kidneys. So I have seen this firsthand with some clients that I've coached in the past, and one of them particularly who was drinking 2 to 3 protein drinks a day for bodybuilding and ended up with some pretty bad chronic disease and some harm to his kidneys, and now taking lots of medications to be able to function every day. So when I am asked about which one is the best, I typically don't recommend any of them. I recommend good protein foods. And those are going to be things like meat, fish, poultry, eggs. Eggs are amazing. They taste so good. You can make them so many different ways, and they have a ton of protein, like 6 grams of protein in 1 egg. So 3 eggs, scrambled, hard-boiled, however you want to eat them in an omelet, 3 eggs is 18 grams of protein. That's about as much as you're going to get from one of those protein shakes. That's going to cost you about $100 for that tub, right? So eggs are definitely a super good source of protein. Yogurt, cheese, quinoa, all of those things are going to give you protein to be able to fuel your body. Peanut butter, bananas. So yeah, eat protein. Eat those foods that have a lot of protein in them. And protein is made up of amino acids, and there's 22 amino acids. 8 of them are essential, and then 14 of them are not essential. So the body doesn't really need them, but we make it. So the 8 essential amino acids that we need, we can get them from food. And so we can get them from a lot of the foods that I just mentioned. And again, we're already getting enough of them. So if you really want to add protein to your diet and you really want to try like a protein shake or something like that, make sure that you're reading the ingredient label again, and make sure that you're looking for ones that have whey protein or hemp protein and not whey isolates, because that actually goes through a process and the body can't recognize it again. So looking for just plain whey protein. And then again, looking at all the other ingredients. So a lot of times they will have other things in them like sugar and stuff like that. So making sure that you are really evaluating what you're purchasing before you get it. But I recommend that you get it more from those good for you foods. The other thing I want to talk about then is reading labels. And so key to eating healthy is making sure you know what you have in your body, right? And making sure that you know what you're eating. And so reading labels is super important, because it's really fun when you go to the store and you see a box of some cookies and it says in there that they're like sugar-free cookies and they are super good for you, and they give you all these false health claims, and you're like, oh, these cookies look so good and I want to eat cookies, so I'm going to get these cookies. And then you read the back of the label and then it says that it has sugar in it, or high fructose corn syrup, or sucralose or fructose or whatever it is. Well, that's sugar, right? And so sometimes labels will say that they don't have those things, but if you're not the wiser and actually read the ingredients, then you don't know 100%. And so the marketer can definitely fool you into thinking that it's a good for you food. And there are so many of those products in the stores these days. You really have to look at those labels and really have to know what you're looking for. Sugar can hide under many different words on labels, so it can be sucralose or fructose, and it can definitely share a list of all of those things, but there's definitely different names of sugar, and sometimes if you look, you're going to see those words a couple of times, and that means there's sugar and more sugar and more sugar, right? So really reading those labels, really looking to see what are those ingredients in there. If you don't know what the word is, if you can't pronounce it and you have no idea what it means, then there's a good chance you don't want to put it in your body, right? So go home and look up the ingredients and look and see what is actually in what you are eating. And then also look for products that have less amount of ingredients. Back on lesson 2, when you were kind of exploring and you did your food log, I had you keep track of how many ingredients you were eating throughout the day. And so the key is to get less ingredients, right? So it's no longer about kind of tracking those calories. It's more about tracking ingredients and how much you're actually putting in your body. So if you go to the store and you look at that product and it's got 15 ingredients, then I would recommend you don't choose that actual product, because you really don't know what it is that you're putting in your body. And so keeping it simple with those whole foods where you know this is what it is: an egg, a banana, an apple, a grape. Like, there's one ingredient in all of those things. They are naturally grown foods and not processed foods, and they don't have sugar, aside from the fruit having natural sugar, but that's okay because it's not processed. So really reading labels, looking for those ingredients, cutting sugar out of your diet as much as you possibly can, and getting protein from the good for you foods, making sure you're eating complex carbohydrates versus simple carbohydrates, watching for that whole wheat flour in bread and other things, making sure you're getting the whole wheat grains like the rice and the quinoa, and then packing in that omega-3, those healthy fatty acids. And you can get that from so many different foods. Fish, nuts, seeds, hemp seeds are a good thing that you can use to add in that omega-3 as well. So all of those things are going to be key as you continue on this journey. And again, basic information that you need to know, but you need to know what your foods are and what they do for your body and how they fuel your body. So at the end of this really is to kind of think about what foods you're putting in your body, how you can get more of those healthy foods into your body, and really looking at labels, figuring out how to read those labels and what's in your foods that you're currently eating. So hopefully you learned something and it wasn't all just stuff you already know, but go ahead and continue on your journey. And one of the things that I want you to do now is kind of adding in a smoothie every day. And if you are stuck on smoothies and you're just not sure what to do, what to put in there, on my website, The Healing Huntress, you can find the 7 Days 7 Smoothie Guide, and that's going to kind of give you a smoothie that has a really good benefit for you every day. And so, but in addition, some kind of ideas on how to spice up your smoothies or different ideas for smoothies. So starting today, you're already adding the 8-ounce glass of water every day to your diet, and now I want you to add a smoothie every day to your diet. So breakfast, lunch, supper, snack at the end of the day. A smoothie can replace ice cream if you really are feeling like you need something at the end of the day, but adding a smoothie into your diet every day. So that's all for lesson 4. I will meet you back at lesson 5.